Well, good evening. Happy Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It's really great to see everyone here. My name is Kathleen Beckman. I am for a few more days, a council member in the city of Clearwater. I've been there for 4 years, and that's how I got involved with the CoC, serving on their board. I currently serve as chair of the executive board of the CoC, and happy to kick off this information session, this second information session. I know the first one went really well, and I want to say a special thank you to Victoria for putting this all together and for encouraging people to sign up. So welcome, CoC members and supporters of the Continuum of Care. Please do take a moment to introduce yourself. Oh, there's Kathy Ham from Clearwater. Woo-hoo! She's our outreach liaison who works with our police department. So it's great to see you, Kathy. She's done heroic things. Well, she does them all the time, but glad that you're here. Please put your information in the chat so we can kind of keep track of who's attending these and all the different resources we have out there. It's my intention to grow the CoC and have a much more diversity of representation at the table as we work to find solutions to reduce and prevent homelessness. Here's our agenda. So we're going to keep right on track. I will let you know, I do have a Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition meeting tonight at 6:30, so I'm going to switch to my phone and listen in as I drive there, but I wanted to make sure I kicked off the meeting here at my home. So during tonight's meeting or session, you're going to have the opportunity to learn about a few of the stabilizing organizations we have here in Pinellas that are available to our neighbors experiencing or at risk of homelessness in Pinellas County. And they include the Pinellas County, the Pinellas CoC Transit Authority, or PSTA, the Community Law Program, St. Petersburg College's Road to Independence, Success and Excellence, or RISE program, and then the Homeless Leadership Alliance of Pinellas, HLA's Workforce Development Program. So you can see it right there, and then there will be time for questions and answers. Thanks. All good. During the last month's session, my friend and colleague and fellow executive board member, council member Deborah Figg Sanders from St. Pete, she's also the vice chair of the CoC, told you about some of the work that the Pinellas CoC does. I wanted to build on that by noting how critical your participation is in this work. And without the support of our community partners, including providers, volunteers, funders, supporters, faith leaders, and others, and the clients, we could not continue our fight to end homelessness. So I encourage you all, if you haven't already, to please join the CoC in 2024. It's only $20 a year for an individual member. We've reduced the prices in different other categories, and we do have scholarships available if someone needs those. But please do join. I actually joined today because I'm no longer going to be representing the city of Clearwater, so join my individual membership, and it takes all of 2 minutes. So your voice, your participation is critical, especially now. And you can email Victoria Kelly if you have any questions at all. This is our upcoming meeting schedule. So we encourage you to join in on April 9th. Certainly there's a lot going on related to homelessness, as you know. We have state legislation that's been enacted that's worrisome. We have our lived experience advisory committee that's talking about that, that will, be involved in advocacy and letting their voices be heard as well. So those are the dates, and Victoria will send information out about that. So as you may know, this is the second of the 8 information sessions the CoC will host this year. Future info sessions, the dates which are on the screen. Do we have those on the screen? Was it back? Victoria? Okay, there they go. Upcoming CoC information sessions. We'll cover topics such as youth, family, senior, and veteran services, housing services, community resources, and the CoC board and election information. So please don't miss that general membership meeting on April 9th that's coming up. So today's information, that's the order of the presenters, and each presenter will do their presentation. And thank you sincerely for being here and sharing about the resources that you offer to our community. Questions can be typed into a Q&A box, and then the presenters will take a few questions after the presentation. And question and answer sessions will begin at 6:35. Materials from today's meeting will be shared via email, and these materials will also be available on the HLA's website. Just visit the HLA's calendar and click on today's event. Similarly, last month's healthcare info session materials, which were shared via email, are also available on the website, as are those recordings. So if you missed something here, you'll know that it'll be uploaded to the website, within a day or so. And then Victoria's ready to push send on the email after the meeting. So you can cross that off your box. Okay. And then now I will hand it over to Victoria Kelly, the one who keeps all the balls up in the air and juggling with the HLA, with the Homeless Leadership Alliance of Pinellas, to introduce our partners. And again, I'll click in and join in throughout, but I won't be sitting down. I'll be driving. But thank you again for being here.
I was muted 4 years into using Zoom, and I'm still talking while muted. Thank you very much, Councilmember Beckman, and thank you to everybody for joining us. So we are going to start these presentations, and everybody is going to have 15 minutes. Please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box, and I will set timers for each of our presentations just to make sure that we stay on task. And our first presentation, I am very excited to say, is from the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority, or as we all call it, PSTA. And we have Ross Silvers here with PSTA to talk to us about their initiatives. So Ross, I will hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm Ross Silvers with PSTA. My pleasure to be with you this evening. So I'm going to cover for you a couple different topics tonight. First, I'm going to talk about all different ways to ride PSTA buses for free. I'm going to talk about roles an agency can play to be able to help make that happen for the folks they work with. I'm going to talk about door-to-door services and how those can be affordable, and ways to help people get to or from buses safely for a little bit of extra money. So some different things, and also probably talk about connections to different counties to give you just a little overview. So this is an hour-long presentation in 15 minutes, so I am going to dive on in. And my contact information will be on the last slide, so we don't have to worry too much about that. And let's see, I'm being a little cute here. There we go. All right. Let's see. Hold on, I have boxes on my screen I got to get rid of. Getting rid of boxes. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're still good. All right. So Victoria, PSTA Access is our door-to-door service for people who have a disability that prevents them from riding the bus. This is what used to be called DART. We changed the name, I think, in 2020. So just briefly, you see the eligibility criteria here. Basically, it's you have a disability that prevents you from riding our PSTA fully wheelchair accessible buses, and all of them are wheelchair accessible. So this service is a very convenient service, but it's also expensive. It's $4.50 a ride. Some people who are eligible for this will use mobility on demand, which is again only for folks who meet these eligibility criteria. That's still $3.50 a ride. So we're going to talk a little bit later about a $3 ride service that's available for people who are low income anywhere in the county 24/7. So that's a better deal. On to the next slide. All right, so let's focus more back on buses. We have free travel training. Travel training is awesome. Travel training is where we have some wonderful people who who work with us, who will come out and meet someone who has any kind of physical, mental, sensory disability of any kind, meet them wherever they want in Pinellas County, and help them plan a trip and actually take that trip with them, all for free. So it's a great deal. It's a great price. So it's tremendously beneficial. If someone has some significant disabilities and needs multiple rides to learn how to ride the buses and figure it out, they can take multiple rides, all for free. Price is right. Let's see what's next. All right, so this is just some images of the different services we use. We can go on to the next slide. And so a little bit of information about our buses. So all of our buses have Wi-Fi, which is very convenient. All of our terminals have Wi-Fi as well. Some of you may know that our Sunrunner buses actually have charging on the buses by the seats. That's pretty cool. All buses have cameras on the outside and inside to help with safety and security. They're all a safe place, part of the Safe Place program for children who need a safe place to go. Accessibility features, the front of the bus has a ramp that comes out. By federal law, our bus drivers are required to deploy the ramp for anyone who requests it, okay? Whether there's a visible disability or not, they're required to deploy it for anyone who requests it. So someone who has an artificial limb, who's using a cane, to say, can you please put out the ramp? And they will do so, okay? Let's go to the next slide. All right, so let's talk about planning your trip. So something the travel trainers will go through, and just to give you a briefing here today, there are many ways to plan a trip now. You don't have to get an old-fashioned paper bus schedule. You, of course, can still call PSTA or use those paper schedules. I personally like to use the map on the phone just to plan a trip. Instead of tapping on the card, you tap on the picture of the bus. It'll plan your whole trip, including walking time. But the best way by far is to use a free app called Transit app. And Transit app will show you where you are in the map and everything else. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so here's Transit app that we're talking about, a little bit what it looks like. And let's move on to the next slide. All right, so let's talk about fares. So regular bus fare is $2.25 a ride, all day for $5. Senior disabled rate is half fare, so $1.10 or $2.25 all day or $35 all month. All right, let's talk about ways to ride for free. That's what we all are hoping for, right? So veterans, starting on Veterans Day this year, we made it a permanent thing that all U.S. veterans can ride all PSTA buses all the time at no cost. All they're doing is showing their DD-14 or other veterans ID to a customer service center one time, being issued a Flamingo card, and that Flamingo card is being issued with 1 year of unlimited free rides for veterans. If you know a veteran, they better have this, okay? We will be, by the way, at the Stand Down for Homeless Veterans at the Bay Pines VA on Saturday. I think it's April 4th. It's a week from Saturday. So, and we will be signing up veterans who don't yet have it. All right. Other people who get free rides. Any Pinellas County Public School student gets free rides. St. Pete College and USF St. Pete students get free rides, as do micro school students and their staff. So that's free rides for lots of folks. And then let's talk about transportation disadvantage, so, or TD as we call it. This is the program most of your agencies have worked with in the past. So the main fare is $11 for all month long. And then if you're with the Pinellas County Healthcare for the Homeless, the old blue card, then they pay $5 of that fee, making it $6. And then if you live in the city of St. Petersburg, whether you're on that Pinellas County program or not, if you're TD eligible and you live in the city of St. Pete, you are paying $0. Just be advised it's within the city limits, not just the St. Petersburg address. They're not unincorporated county. It has to be within the city limits. We have all that information and we'll look it up for you. To do all this is it's the same thing for everybody. You're just going to get the TD application online or at a terminal, fill it out, 200% of poverty, any Pinellas County address, including a facility that's assisting them. and no access to a car, another ride, and you are eligible. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, let's see. Where can I get to? Where can I get fares? All right, so it's Flamingo fares. So we no longer have Mag Stripe fare cards. Okay, those are gone. If you have any, they should have been traded in a while ago. If not, contact us and we can see about still trading those in. So we have single ride and daily unlimited disposable Flamingo cards. Okay, and then we also have reloadable Flamingo cards. So the big advantage of Flamingo cards or Flamingo app is that it's called fare capping. And that means that instead of paying $2.25 for every single bus ride you take all day long, if you're using a card or the app, then the maximum you're going to pay all day is $5. So it's going to take $2.25 your first ride, $2.25 your second, 50 cents the last, and that's it. So it works for both a daily and a monthly. That's the real advantage of the Flamingo cards. If someone needs to buy one, they are available at most AMSCOTs at this time, and of course at all customer service centers. So TD is issued on a Flamingo card. So Flamingo card is the only way to use TD at this time. And what's good is if the card gets registered in their name, if it gets lost or stolen, they report it to PSTA. That old card is turned off. They pay $3. They get a replacement card. The replacement card has the old fare still on it. Good to go. They don't have to buy a new fare to use it. Next slide. All right. So Direct Connect is the service that enables individuals to get to or from one of, I think it's 24 locations where there's bus service throughout Pinellas County. So if someone is TD eligible, we have still kept going this legacy program called TD Direct Connect, where PSCA pays the first $9 of the cost of this ride on Uber, Lyft, or taxi or wheelchair service to get to that stop. So a lot of times that ride may cost $9 or less, making that ride for free. So it's really helpful if someone is taking it in a place they don't feel safe, or if it's going to mean the difference between a one bus ride and 3 bus ride. Or poor weather, etc. So it's all this, of course, is right on our website, psca.net. Anyone can use it and get $5 off, but the real deal is if you're on TD to get $9 off. Next slide, please. All right, just an example of what the sign looks like of where you catch Direct Connect. We can go to the next slide. All right, and here we are with my contact information. All right, so my phone is my direct line, 540-1888. My direct email address is rsilvers@psta.net. And do I have another minute to talk? How am I doing on time? I think I've got 2 minutes left, right?
You actually, you have 4 minutes still. We ran a little bit over time in the beginning, so you still have 4 minutes. And we do have one question in the chat as well.
Great. Well, let me just say, first of all, I promised to talk about regional connections. And I didn't mention some other TD services. So first of all, we do have something called TD Late Shift that is still going. These are using those same providers you just looked at for Direct Connect, so Uber, Lyft, etc., to ride between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So in addition to whatever their TD fare is, they pay just $9 more a month, and they get up to 25 of those rides for a verified job that starts or ends between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. in Pinellas County. We also have TD Tampa Bay, which is a cross-county service using the same providers. So that's $6 a ride. It's costing you a little bit more money, but you're going from anywhere in Pinellas to anywhere in Pasco or Hillsborough County for $6 a ride, door-to-door, nonstop, not a shared ride. So it's a tremendous service for someone who maybe that they get that job at Tampa Airport and it's too early in the morning, or it's just not realistic to go by bus. So that's a great service that's out there as well. It all starts with the same TD application. And then for regular bus service, we do have 2 buses that go to Tampa. 100X goes over the Gandy Bridge from Gateway Mall in St. Pete, stops at Britton Plaza, where you can catch the Hart bus that takes you to McDill, and continues on to downtown. The 300X starts out of Almerton Road and stops at PSCA's Transfer Center, continues over 275. It stops at Tampa Airport some of the time, and then continues on the downtown. And then the only connection on a Saturday, and runs Monday through Saturday, is a bus that leaves Countryside Mall, goes out Gun Highway to Tampa's Heart Northwest Transfer Center, just north of the airport. We also have connections in Tarpon Springs for the Pasco 2 lines of their buses, the 19 and 18, taking you to Pasco. And then from Grand Central in St. Pete and from the Bay Pines VA, there is a bus twice a day that goes to Manatee County across the Sunshine Skyway. So that is that. I will take that question now. Do you mind reading that for me, Victoria?
Not at all. So the question was, how does a nonprofit organization obtain discounted bus vouchers?
Fantastic. So the best thing to do is to work with the TD program. We had been offering bulk discounts previously on buying other passes. What we did is we traded that bulk discount for not charging nonprofits the standard $3 cost for getting a reloadable Flamingo card. So the best thing to do, which a number of the different nonprofits are doing, is to become what's called a Flamingo institutional account. It's where you can go online onto your web browser, and you can literally put in people's names, and fares will appear magically on their Flamingo card. So it can be a TD fare or a regular fare. So that is the best system to use. It's really awesome. So that's what I would recommend doing. Otherwise, you can always contact PSTA, contact me, and we'll get you in touch with purchasing anything else you need.
Wonderful. Thank you. Our next question is, does PSTA provide a service to evacuate people to emergency shelters before hurricanes?
Fantastic question. We certainly do partner with the county. We actually have a seat at the table at the EOC whenever for hurricanes and other disasters. So we coordinate, we have our bus services provide free rides to and from shelters. I believe there's some deviation on routes to serve shelters. And then for special needs shelters, us and our contractor, Transdev, provide service to help get people with disabilities where they need to go as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ross. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to share this information. There will be a few minutes for additional questions at the end. So if you have any other questions for Ross, please throw them in the Q&A box, and Ross can also answer those while our other folks are presenting. So thank you very much. And on that note, I would like to invite Miss Kimberly Rogers with the Community Law Program to discuss their programs. And Ms. Rogers is also a board member, like Ross Silvers is a board member of the Pinellas Continuum of Care. Ms. Rogers is a board member of the Homeless Leadership Alliance as well. So I will give it to you now, Kimberly.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. So I'm going to talk about my organization, first about who we are and who we help, and then our services. So next slide, please. So this is our staff. This photo was taken about a year ago, so there are some new faces as well, and a few folks who have left, but this is essentially who we are. We are located in downtown St. Petersburg in the 501 building, which is directly due south of the St. Pete Judicial Building. We certainly, our services are open to residents throughout the county. So don't be deterred just because we're located in St. Pete. We do help folks throughout the county. So this is our history. We were founded in 1989 by a small group of attorney members of the St. Petersburg Bar concerned about the unmet civil legal needs of the poor in our community. And we provide pro bono legal representation and assistance, education and outreach, education about legal rights and responsibilities, and community outreach. Next slide, please. So who we help. Next slide. Again, I said we help Pinellas County residents. There's an asterisk there because we do on occasion help residents outside of Pinellas County, but they have to be referred to us by a legal aid provider. Our household income for folks is generally 200% of federal poverty guidelines, but we do have some grants that are slightly lower in income eligibility and some that are higher, such as CDBG, which looks at area median income. And then we also have an asset limitation. We don't look at a person's homestead. We don't look at the automobiles that might be drivable, and we don't look at $2,000 of assets and up to $5,000 in retirement assets. So our services. Now, the majority of our services are generally our advice clinic program, and this is pretty much open to just about everyone who needs help and is financially eligible. It's kind of like our point of entry. Everyone, generally speaking, would be placed in an advice clinic. And an advice clinic is basically an opportunity to meet with one-on-one or in a group setting, a volunteer attorney, and get their questions answered, get help with forms, get some limited assistance like estate planning documents. And before the pandemic, most of our advice clinics were in person. Since the pandemic, a lot of them are over the phone and virtually. And so it's really easy to participate in this. And we have probably a panel of 400 different attorneys in the Pinellas County area that volunteer with our organization. And our advice clinics are based upon subject matter area. And these are the general areas that we cover. Next slide. And this is just a calendar with the dates and times of our advice clinics. And as you can see, we pretty much have an advice clinic that we operate on almost a daily basis. Next slide. And this is just photos of those clinic sessions. So from the advice clinics, we identify folks who need some additional help, and we do our best to provide full representation. Again, the representation mostly is placed with a volunteer attorney for these advice clinics. So it is based upon our ability to recruit and train and find available attorneys. And we have priorities that are based on, we look at, like, if a person is involved in an active case, we try to level the playing field, because we know statistically that if someone isn't unrepresented and they're faced with having to go to court against a party that is represented, they're going to be at a really high unfair disadvantage. So we place a premium priority on people when the other side of their case is represented. And then, of course, we try to help folks that are disabled and seniors and folks with language barriers. Those are generally our priorities. And you'll see here, these are most of our areas of the law that we cover and we try to provide representation for. Next slide. Now, the rest of these programs are either based upon particularly vulnerable populations, or we also have staff attorneys that assist with these with some of these programs. Our guardian advocacy program tries to help caretakers that are caring for people with developmental disabilities. And those are folks trying to help people with things like autism and Down syndrome. Once you turn 18 under the law treats you as an adult, but folks with developmental disabilities may have a need to have continued care and loved ones continuing to make decisions on their behalf. So we do our best to try to help caretakers in this situation get the continued authority to make those decisions, and that's through a process called guardian advocacy. Next slide. So this is our Pinellas Eviction Diversion Program. It started really after the pandemic. We have always helped tenants facing eviction, but after the pandemic, with so many folks at risk of homelessness because of economic issues and health concerns, we wanted to create more of a holistic approach to helping people prevent homelessness. And so we collaborated with a lot of folks, including the Homeless Leadership Alliance, and we offered a number of services. In addition to legal help, we included mediation services, housing navigation, and referrals to other organizations that would provide basic needs to tenants facing eviction and at risk of homelessness. And that program is still going on now. So next slide. Now, and that program really garnered a lot of media attention, and this is just some examples of that. Next slide. And okay, and next slide as well. So our landlord-tenant mediation program for seniors is a sub-project of our Pinellas Eviction Diversion Program, because we found that during the pandemic, seniors, more so than a lot of people, were not entitled to the financial to the emergency rental assistance dollars that were available through the federal government, because they were on fixed incomes and didn't have a financial impact from COVID. And so as a result, seniors were they were hit hard, and they continue to be hit hard because they're on fixed incomes. So we have this special program dedicated to seniors where we try to help them pre-suit when they are just facing eviction and have received something like a 3-day notice letting them know that they are behind on their rent. And we try to negotiate with the landlord. We were having great success doing this when there were the local ordinances and the renters tenants bill of rights that were enacted in both Pinellas and St. Petersburg. Now that those ordinances are no longer applicable, we don't quite have as much leverage, but we are still successfully able to help folks. And we have some funding that we received from Pinellas Community Foundation's Senior Citizen Services Fund, to where we have access to rental assistance dollars, and we still have some money available. So if you know of anyone that's 55 plus, please, and that is at risk of eviction in Pinellas County, please send them our way. Next slide. Wills for Warriors is a special project that we have with Stetson University College of Law, where we help veterans get wills and advance directives that they need And we just hosted this project, or this project in the beginning of March. So we do it about once a year, sometimes twice a year. But it's a good event. We usually help about 20 or 25 veterans during that program. Next slide. Our Lawyers for Young Adults project focuses on helping young people who have aged out of foster care appeal denials of independent living benefits that they are entitled to, as well as with other legal issues, same types of legal issues that affect adults, certainly impact young people who've aged out. And we do our best to provide additional supports for this vulnerable population through this project. And there's photos from that. We partner with Ready for Life and Suncoast Voices for Children in that project. This is our family law litigation project. Again, I spoke about our desire to make sure that we represent people when they are facing a situation in court where the other side is represented. This project, more so than any of our other projects, is a really great example of that. We do our very best to level the playing field in situations where custody and time support and domestic violence situations are an issue in a family law proceeding. And as you'll see, this project garnered the attorney that represents folks a Lightning Award a few years ago, so that we were very happy about that. Next slide. Our community council program assists nonprofits that are social service nonprofits with transactional legal issues. We do not handle litigation matters through this project, but anything that is transactional that impacts existing nonprofits, or even we occasionally help startup nonprofits with corporate formation, 501c3 applications. For existing nonprofits, we handle or we try to handle anything relating to reviewing contracts, helping modify bylaws, policies, anything that is transactional in nature. Next slide.
Kimberly, I do just want to let you know we have about 20 seconds left.
Okay. Community education, we educate folks about their legal rights and responsibilities, and participate in outreach events. We have a bunch of educational videos on YouTube. So that's our YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch some of our educational videos. We have a series of videos on landlord-tenant. Next slide. And then our Housing Legal Assistance Project is our most recent project. We help residents of the South St. Petersburg redevelopment area with landlord-tenant and probate. Probate focused on preventing heirs' property. So this is how you can contact us, and those are our website and social media channels.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kimberly. And there were a few questions. We will have a Q&A session at the end, but Kimberly, if you'd like to jump into the Q&A box, you are welcome to answer those questions now as well.
Okay.
So thank you very, very much, Ms. Rogers, for sharing community law programs services. Now we are going to hear from Austin Crawford over at the St. Pete College's Road to Independence, Success, and Excellence. I always just call it the RISE program with St. Pete College. So, Mr. Crawford, if you would like to take it away, you have 15 minutes on the timer.
Great, thank you. And good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Crawford. I am the DCF liaison and the homeless liaison for St. Petersburg College. I'm going to be mainly focusing on the services that we provide for our homeless and unhoused students. I do have a little bit in here about the DCF services, and I'm happy to answer those questions later. You can go ahead, next slide. Great. So we really pride ourselves. The RISE program acts as a one-stop shop for support at St. Petersburg College. We are part of the Greater Titans Care program, and specifically we are part of the basic needs team. So we really prioritize this, and through a combination of referring to on-campus resources and off-campus resources, we feel that we can do a lot to meet students' needs. Some of the things that we do as a one-stop shop, you know, college can be complicated. We have 9 campuses, and it can be difficult to navigate and know where the resources are and who to talk to about such, especially if you have other things going on in your life. So I really try to step forward and assist with navigating the different resources at SBC and in the community. We send out a lot of helpful reminders about deadlines. It can be really tricky to keep track of all of the tuition due dates, etc. We write a lot of support letters and advocacy letters for different scholarships, advocating for students to be a part of post-secondary education in regards to foster care, waiver procurement and assistance with completing the state-provided homeless tuition exemption. As I mentioned, we have 9 campuses as well as online services, so it can be a lot. We provide one-on-one coaching services as well as financial support for textbooks. And the RISE program is staffed by people that are master's degree in social work or higher. So we really emphasize that. We try to take a trauma-informed approach and make sure that our staff is well-trained to be able to have these difficult conversations with students that may need that little bit of a gentle touch. Next slide, please. So just going to go over a brief overview of many people are not aware of the homeless tuition exemption and how it works. So we're going to just highlight on some of these. Just over a year ago, just a little bit over a year ago, the State Board of Education made some changes to the homeless tuition exemption. And I'm going to highlight a few of those changes, please. Next slide. So we use the McKinney-Vento definition of homelessness. So it's any student that who lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. This can include shelters, motels, hotels, trailer parks, those that are classically homeless, such as sleeping on park benches, etc. So we're thankful of this. They broaden the definition so that we can serve more students. So you may know of a few individuals already that may be interested in pursuing a degree or a training certificate that might fit into this definition. Next slide, please. So the homeless tuition exemption, there are a lot of tuition exemptions that students can use out there, such as we have a lot of students that use things such as the senior citizen waiver. If you're over 65, you can attend some classes for free. A lot of these other waivers do not, they only include tuition and they do not cover associated fees. The homeless tuition exemption paid for by the state of Florida covers tuition at the in-state rate. It also covers associated fees such as lab fees, student life fees, other fees associated with attending school. There is no age requirement or age cutoff for the homeless tuition exemption. Students must be currently unhoused at the date that they submit their paperwork. It's a little bit unfortunate, but a lot of times students will come and say, hey, I'm going to be evicted next week. I will be out on my own. And we have to say, all right, well, we'll have the paperwork ready and waiting for you. Let's talk about what we can do now to try to prevent this, see what resources are available. And if push comes to shove, let's meet next week and submit the paperwork then. It does waive the residency requirement. As those that do not know, the Florida State University system, the Florida State College system, classes are charged differently, whether you are an in-state resident or an out-of-state resident. This waives the residency fee, which allows for students' tuition to be at the in-state rate, which is about a third less expensive, or 2/3 less expensive. It's about a third of the cost. We run into a lot of problems with the form being solely online. Unfortunately, that's something that we're trying to find some clever workarounds for. A lot of times people will show up with letters from a shelter or from a corresponding agency verifying that they are receiving some services related to them being unhoused. And unfortunately, we can't do anything with that. So we do try to sit down with the individual student and assist them in completing the paperwork if they either do not have access to a computer or maybe not have the technological literacy to complete it. There is some complicated Adobe Sign factors involved that most of us, having worked during the last 4 to 5 years, have just about gotten the hang of Adobe Sign, but that's not the case for everyone. And even I still mess up fairly frequently. So we really try to sit down and work with them. Students can provide additional documentation from shelters, but it needs to be in the form of a digital PDF. It is a 2-step verification process where the student provides their information and then the information of a caseworker or another individual that is assisting them in their situation. They complete the first page, they provide the information, it goes off to the second individual, and then that individual needs to log on and complete the second portion before it will even show up in our system, which we're, again, trying to find a workaround for that because we have it's a lot of steps for paperwork to get lost along the way. And then one of the things that we're most proud of, it used to be that the certification must be resubmitted every semester that the student wishes to use it. And it's a lot of paperwork to have to do and keep up with a lot of those pesky deadlines. Due to the changes from the Board of Education from last March, now certifications are valid for 12 months unless they indicate that their situation has changed. So we're really happy we identified that as a barrier, students needing to submit this frequently. And so we've effectively eliminated that barrier by now only requiring that it be submitted once every 12 months. So the process, just as a brief overview, a lot of students show up and not really sure what to do. We cannot certify students unless they are currently enrolled in classes. I always encourage students to reach out and talk to me because students frequently will say, well, I don't want to register for classes until I'm sure that they can be paid for, etc. So it's a little bit tricky, but we try to work with our students. And then after we get their paperwork handled, which I like to meet students one-on-one as much as possible to assist with this, we can assess their need for other services. We can get them a laptop, textbooks, etc. So some of the additional benefits, as I mentioned, we have textbook and school supply assistance. As far as the school supplies, we just get a lot of donations. We get backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, that sort of thing. And we, like to suit up students as much as we can with what we have via donation. I also have a small discretionary fund for assisting students with their textbooks through our on-campus bookstore. And to this, so far in this semester, I've been able to pay 100% of my students' textbooks. So that we're very proud of that. Our discretionary fund was increased just a little bit, enough so that for spring semester, we were able to accommodate every student that requested it fully and get their textbooks fully charged, which if you've been through school, even remotely recently, that is pricey. So we're very proud of that. We share a lot of information on upcoming events. I spend a lot of time sending students information on scholarships, since the tuition exemption covers all of their tuition and fees. And if they can find a scholarship that allows for a financial aid reimbursement, students can effectively get paid to go to school. So I work really hard with students to try to get them the scholarships that they need. We also try to find them, if they're interested and eligible, work opportunities on campus. Students are also included in student groups to network with other students in similar situations and see what they can do to pool resources. We try to do tailored supports, meet with students individually to assess their needs, and really try to meet students as individuals. We're also putting together some programs and workshops with some of our community partners. Next slide, please. We also work with the DCF tuition waiver, and I'm happy to go into a little bit more detail on that if people are interested or have people in their circle that are involved with foster care. I know one of my partners is on here. We work a lot with Camelot, and I believe I saw Deetra on. Big fans of our friends over at Camelot. So post-secondary tuition and fee exemption for the DCF tuition waiver. It also covers all tuition and fees, but can only be used up to age 28. It's a much simpler process overall. It's a single signed document that is procured from the lead agency, and it also satisfies residency requirements. And in terms of services offered, it's very similar to the homeless tuition exemption. I like to tell people, if people aren't aware of it, about the Foster Power app. I realize I have a little bit of a formatting issue on that slide. Sorry about that. But Foster Power app is a great app that has a lot of information about foster care rights, responsibilities, including detailed information on the tuition waiver. If you're even remotely involved with foster care, I would download the app. It's super user-friendly. I encourage everyone to do it. I use it myself on a weekly basis. It's fantastic. Next slide, please. So other resources, and I'll try to do this quick. I think I'm running out of time. The Titans Care team that we have at St. Pete College, we have mental health resources. We're proud to offer 7 free sessions of mental health counseling per semester. And we can go beyond that for we have a sliding scale fee beyond that, but we've partnered with Directions for Living. Most campuses, most colleges provide 3 to 5 sessions. We're happy to provide 7. We do laptop and technology lending. Students can borrow a laptop and hold on to it for the duration that they're enrolled. If you're enrolled for 4 years and stay through and get your degree, that is your laptop for the next 4 years. No strings attached. We have food pantries on all of our campuses. It's not just canned foods. We do have canned foods, but we've worked with Bill Jackson's to get little camping kits as well for our students that may not have kitchens. We also get regular donations from Publix, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. We make sure that we have, we're as respectful of dietary restrictions as we can. We have vegan options, gluten-free options. We make sure that we have as stocked of a fridge as we can at all 9 of our campuses. We have free clothing and textbooks, as well as networking opportunities for some of our identity-based groups, such as WOW, which is Women on the Way. Similar to that, we have Brother to Brother, and then we have the Florida African American Male Experience, or the FAME program. Bridge to Baccalaureate, we partner with other universities to bridge programs. If you want to study sciences, we make sure that the transition from 2-year school to 4-year school is as smooth as it can be. And we also offer different programs for Pell Grant eligible and first generation students. And a lot of our students take advantage of the PSTA transportation and bus passes that were mentioned earlier by Mr. Silvers. We're very thankful for that partnership. Next slide, please. These are just some of the partnerships that we've used in the past. We're looking to expand these. And if you have any questions or would like to partner somehow in the future, I would love to chat with you. These are pretty much only specific to our, or mostly specific to our homeless tuition exemption students. I've got other slides that show our partnerships for our DCF students. So we really value community partnerships. And if I haven't had an opportunity to connect with you or your organization yet, I would love to get something going and would love to chat sometime in the near future about how we can work together to meet the needs of our community. And I believe the last slide is my contact information. Like I said, I would love to hear from you. If you ever find yourself on either our Gibbs campus or our Clearwater campus, you can go ahead and stop by our Titans Care Center, and I'm happy to show you around. And I look forward to hearing from y'all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Austin. And there was one question in the Q&A box. Folks are wondering how they can donate towards school supplies for students.
Sure. Yeah. If you have my contact information, you can email me or leave me a voicemail, and I'm happy to set up a time for us to meet. I can take the donations directly, and happy to chat offline about what that might look like.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Austin, could you go ahead and put your email in the chat for folks so that they
Yes.
have that there as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And now I am going to introduce one of my colleagues, actually. Chloe Bear is the Workforce Development Specialist here at the Homeless Leadership Alliance of Pinellas. And she is going to take the next 15 minutes to present her awesome program. So, Chloe, I will give the mic to you now.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you all for joining and sticking around to hear about all of our services. I am the Workforce Development Specialist, as Victoria said. I've been with the HLA since June of 2023, so I'm still relatively new, I like to think. Previously, I worked in the Leon County Big Bend Continuum of Care in homeless services as well. And if we could just go to the next slide, we'll get into things. Thank you. So what is workforce development? Well, the goal of our program is really to increase the incomes of Pinellas County residents. So any household throughout Pinellas County is eligible for the workforce development program, so long as they're experiencing some level of housing instability. So we serve individuals and households, like I said, across the whole county. There's no income constraints on the program. So you can be currently employed and looking for a new job or a second job in order to sustain your current housing, or you could be unhoused and or unemployed looking to obtain a source of income. And that's going to look different for everyone. For some people, that might be, like I mentioned, getting that second job or obtaining a new full-time job. For other people, it might be getting just connected with their benefits, helping people with those SNAP applications and things like that. I like to say that the workforce development program is a very low barrier program. So we receive our referrals from a variety of sources, including internal referrals from our housing navigation, community navigation teams here at the HLA, and then from a lot of the different agencies and providers that we partner with around the community. You can also submit a referral for yourself. So if you want to empower your clients to submit that information on their own, they are totally welcome to do that. And you're also welcome to submit the referral form for your clients as well. We have an online referral form that you can go in and fill out. It's pretty brief, and you can kind of just leave a little description of the situation. And I believe that just got added to the chat for anyone who wants to just save that for future reference. We are funded, or this program is funded through the United Way Suncoast, which of course means that there are some requirements that we are, we have some requirements for our program, including tracking of outcomes, indicators, as well as some focus areas. So if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Perfect. So this talks a little bit about those program qualifications and funding requirements. Like I've mentioned, it's open to all income levels and residents across all of Pinellas County. One of those requirements from our funder is that at least 75% of the people we serve reside in these specific focus areas. So I won't read them all out for you since they're on the screen, but please don't let this deter you from referring someone if they don't live in these areas. We've found that through just natural influx of referrals, as well as some targeted outreach in these areas, that we meet this requirement pretty easily, pretty organically. So if you have someone outside of these areas that's still within Pinellas, please feel free to submit that referral for them. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So my role within the program, I am the Workforce Development Specialist. It's a team of one, it's just me. So my role is kind of twofold. I have the direct service work with our clients. So that's more case management related. I'll work with the individual or the household. Sometimes there are two people in the household that are looking for employment, and I can work with both of them. I will help them with that job search assistance, whether that is helping them get an Employ Florida account set up, helping them learn how to navigate the site, or any other platforms that they can use to search for jobs, and just sifting through the things on there. Because I know, in this day and age, there are so many spam postings on these sites, and it can be hard to differentiate. So just helping people with that. And then, of course, resume building or updating their resumes, going through what those changes would look like to strengthen their resume, any mock interview prep that is necessary. We can review interview questions, maybe that you felt like you didn't answer well in a previous interview, or things that might come up and you're not sure how to answer. And then, of course, linking to training programs and community resources, whether that's something like an apprenticeship program, GED classes, people who want to finish a degree that they've started, whatever the need is there. And then, of course, any other community resources to meet their immediate needs or to meet those ongoing goals that they have while they're also working on employment goals. I also help people access their benefits, like I mentioned previously. A big one is SNAP. Just getting that situated for people while we obtain that income is really big. And then another piece is just connecting them with banking and financial information. So through our United Way Suncoast grant, we have access to the Bank On information, which is just about safe and affordable banking for our clients. A lot of the individuals that I serve in this program don't have formal checking and savings accounts, so they're using alternative means, and getting them connected with that basic account is a really good first step for their financial health and financial literacy. And then the other portion of things is to work with our employers and our community partners. So I try to connect with our local businesses and other for-profit sectors through attending job fairs, networking with those employers in person, over the phone. I research training programs, and I collaborate with other providers who do workforce development service as well, like CareerSource, of course. They host a lot of really wonderful events and have a lot of services for our clients. And then also HEP, Homeless Empowerment Program up in Clearwater. They are another one of our really wonderful partners that we collaborate with pretty frequently. We can go to the next slide. So this is just my contact information here. Please feel free to reach out via email or phone at any time in the future if questions come up later. And I just wanted to kind of wrap things up with workforce development and how this program really fits into the larger picture of what the HLA does and really the whole COC. So I like to think that workforce development is a piece of prevention and that rapid resolution. So it's a way to stabilize people in their existing housing as a first step. So if you're going to be losing housing, how can we get you income as quickly as possible to stay where you're at and not have to experience the trauma of being unhoused and dealing with everything that comes with that. And then on the other side, if you are already experiencing homelessness, how can we get you out of that? How can we get you back into housing? And there are lots of programs, or maybe not lots, but there are other programs that assist with those moving costs and provide that financial assistance. But when that money is gone, when that assistance has already been used, how are you going to sustain? So this program really is focused on that sustainability and stabilization for our clients. And that's really, I think, all I wanted to say about workforce development. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to put them in the Q&A or just reach out to me after the meeting. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Chloe. That was awesome. Very thorough and very appreciated. I think I will kick off our Q&A here with a question for you, Chloe. But before I do that, I just want everybody to know this is the opportunity. If you have a question that you would like to ask, please feel free to raise your hand or pop that question into the Q&A box, because for the next 15 minutes or so, we will go ahead and answer those questions. So our first question, Chloe, is what is the best way to refer people who need your help for the workforce development program?
Awesome question. The best way is to submit that online referral. It's a WooFoo form online that you can just type everything in, and it'll go straight to me. I get notified every time we get one. And then I will reach out to the client based on whatever contact information is provided. I generally reach people try to reach people by phone first, but if there's an email on there, I'll reach out to them through that as well. And if you have anyone that you maybe want to provide additional information about, or just make sure that I got the referral, feel free to give me a call after that's submitted, or an email, whatever works for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Alex has already popped that link in the chat, but we'll go ahead and pop it in there again, just in case anybody needs it. Are there any other questions that folks might have about PSTA's services, the community law program, St. Pete College, or the HLA's workforce development program?
Not at the moment.
All right. All right. Oh, thank you to all of the presenters. I agree, Paul. Thank you very, very much. All right, so I will go ahead and in that case then open this up to public comment. If there is anything that anybody would like to share with the group, if there are resources you'd like to share, questions you'd like to ask, please go ahead and let us know. All right. I will just pop that link for the workforce development referral form in the chat one more time. Let me just double check our Q&A and everything. It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So this information will be shared via email. Please be on the lookout. It'll come to your inbox, just like the info session, just like the materials for the last info session did. So please be on the lookout for that. We will also share the recording, and please feel free to share this with all of your friends. And of course, join us on April 9th for the CoC membership meeting. We will be meeting at the St. Petersburg Housing Authority, as well as online. So it's a great opportunity to mix, mingle, and meet the CoC's board of directors and find out a little bit more about what we do. So thank you all very, very much. I appreciate you coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And thank you again to our fabulous presenters. Really appreciate your help and appreciate everybody joining us and helping in the mission to end homelessness. So thank you.